to the families of those fellow Australian soldiers who have lost their precious lives in Afghanistan for fighting against injustice. They are the real heroes. May their souls rest in peace. I would like to thank you all for gathering today for the sake of humanity and justice for those who have suffered. It is indeed a great privilege to see that those under persecution and those who have suffered pain and hardship are not alone. As Freedy mentioned, my name is Siddiqa Karimi and I am from Afghanistan and lived in Pakistan before I came to Australia as a refugee in 2005. I left Afghanistan in a very young age, not remembering much about my childhood. However, I do remember the year 1998 when we had to flee the country. Horrible as it sounds, but we left the country because my parents had no other choice but to flee. To them, our safety and our future were more important than their love for their homeland. That is when Dad got refugeed to Australia and I and my siblings in Pakistan. We survived. But one thing we had to always remember, that we were refugees. We did not belong to where we lived. We were total strangers. After 6 long years of separation from my dad, our arrival in Australia was a blessing. It was the beginning of a new life, a new hope. Upon our arrival in Brisbane, I felt a strong sense of happiness, for we were united with my dad. Coming from a war-torn country where woman was deprived of her basic human rights, I was able to study, to dream, and to succeed. Like the many other students, I entered a mainstream education system, studied amongst Australian students, and graduated with pride. I was accepted for who I was, not because of where I came from, how I looked, and how I spoke. However, talking about the many positives and the many opportunities that Australia has provided us with, it is indeed heartbreaking to see the current treatment of those individuals who are struggling with their lives behind the four walls of so-called detention centers. I have not been to a detention center, but my loved ones have been, and I know how it is like to be held in prison for a crime that you haven't done so. Refugees are not queue jumpers, as they were once called. They are not disease carriers, as they were once thought so. They are not terrorists, as they were thought to be so. But they are human beings, just like you and just like me. They are to be doctors, engineers, builders and nurses of this same country that has given them that opportunity. Then why hold them behind the reservoirs? Why imprison them? Leaving one's home country and being a refugee is by far the most difficult decisions for any citizen, be them Afghanistani, Iraqi or Australians. It is no fun to leave your home and take refuge to a country where you don't belong, where everything is strange and unfamiliar to you. Embracing death, it is not an easy job. But for people who suffer persecution, discrimination, injustice and constant ethnic cleansing, just like the Hazaras that are facing in Quetta Pakistan today, just 3 days ago, we had 3 massacres. Every day that is happening in Quetta Pakistan with the Hazaras that are the ethnic minorities in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. And today, when they come here, they are labeled to be not genuine refugees, and they are held behind the reservoirs, behind the four walls of a place called detention centers. And we call ourselves, and we are signatory to the UN Convention for Human Rights, and we say that we respect human rights. We don't actually. We are violating human rights. We are violating refugees and asylum seekers' rights. We are not recognizing what they are entitled to. And that embracing death and putting your life in danger, that is what our refugees do. That is what our asylum seekers do. Risking their lives and jumping on a boat and heading to an unknown destination till they get to a country that is called Australia. To a country where human rights is said to be well respected. To a country where refugees are thought to be genuinely treated and respected, for they are human beings. They left their home countries to seek asylum, to feel protected, not to be locked behind reservoirs, not to be rejected and doubted for not being a genuine refugee. You all know by now that who is a genuine refugee. Isn't a refugee, according to the UN Convention, a person who, owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality or political beliefs, is outside the country of his or her origin and is unable to avail him or herself to the protection of that country? If that is how a refugee is defined, then why are those individuals who have all fled from persecution locked up behind the four walls of detention centers, imprisoned? Article 14 of the International Declaration of Human Rights leaves no room for detaining or imprisoning such individuals who have suffered trauma and persecution. The article clearly states that everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. But alas that those rights are confiscated from those refugees who are currently being locked up just because those human beings who have accepted the torture and trauma of a journey on a fishing boat for days and weeks are considered not to be genuine refugees. Or even if they are, they have to wait for a good amount of time before their cases are processed. There's no one to put themselves in their shoes before making a decision. I'm not a politician, neither am I an expert in this field. However, it is human nature to speak for what is truth and to stand up against what is seen to be unjust. And locking up refugees and asylum seekers behind reservoirs is unjust and it is injustice. It has to stop. It will be appreciated if those refugees are treated humanely. Among them are hundreds and thousands of innocent children. It isn't their fault that they are refugees. Before being a refugee, they're all human beings and are entitled to all the basic human rights such as protection, shelter, education, welfare, and so on. Thank you very much, and we have to stand up against this injustice. Thank you.
Sadiqa, I thank you for giving a voice to the pain and the concerns and the hopes of all who are behind the reservoir at the moment. And I bring to your attention that in the Curtin Detention Centre, far in the desert, there are about 1,500 men and they are from Afghanistan. There's another nearly 300 in that centre to our north in North Queensland. We hope that they can feel the support that we are sending today. We have two more speakers.
امروز کسته در ادلیت کسته 2000 نفر کسته از خانه خبر شده و پلیکاردز گرفته استاده شدن کسته تمام کسته یک جای برای اظهار یک جهتی کسته قد آزرای کویتا کسته تاکي امی قتل عام که منی کویتا شده ریا امور کسته روک کنه موتوغ منی که اونا کسته چطور یہ احتجاج را کسته ارگنائز کردن